Colorado is a top destination for both fly fishing and hunting in the U.S., and for good reason. We're heading there this year to explore some of the state's most iconic waters, from the Colorado River to the South Platte, from Boulder and beyond. In today's episode, you'll get a guided tour of these legendary fisheries along with some tips to help you plan your next Colorado trip more successfully and smoothly this season. This is the Wet Fly Swing podcast, where I show you the best places to travel to for fly fishing, how to find the best resources and tools to prepare for that big trip, and what you can do to give back to the fish species we all love. John Hunt, founder of Moccasin Fly Club, is back on the show to share his favorite spots for fishing and hunting across Colorado and New Mexico. He's bringing his top 10 places to check out this year, along with insider tips on when to go DIY, when a guided trip makes sense, and how to stretch your budget without skimping on the experience. We'll also get the details on what it's like to float the San Juan right now and hear about the cozy lodging they have ready right now on the San Juan just for you. Plus, John shares his go-to gear picks, a few hidden gems you might not find on a map, and the one trip he says every angler should make at least once. Here we go. Round 2, John Hunt from moccasinflyclub.com. How you doing, John?
Good, man. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah. This is. I'm excited to get into this one today. Last time we did a wide range on your program and kind of had your founder story about how you got into it. You had a grandfather there with a cool bamboo rod, which sounds like you still have next to you there. Is it a bamboo rod? I guess first off, was it a bamboo?
No, it's I think it's a Langley. It was a 4-weight graphite Langley that's from like the 40s or whatever. And I have a weird superstition, but since like, I want to say, when was it? So 2018, I think, is when my father finally gave it to me. But every year I go try to put a fish on it somewhere.
Oh, you do? So you still use it?
Yeah. So my grandfather caught a fish on it. My dad caught fish on it. I've caught fish on it. My oldest has caught fish on it. My youngest still has to catch a fish on it, but he's only 3. But yeah, every year I take it off the wall for like one day, go catch something on it, put it right back on the wall. And I feel like all the fish god karma should be okay at that point.
Yeah. Well, if you're okay with it, we'll have to get a photo of that and put it in the show notes so people can take a look at it and see what this looks
I got
like.
you. No problem.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. So yeah, we're going to talk today, Moccasin Fly Club. You told the story about that, how you ended up forgetting your boots and you were traveled a day in Colorado hiking in your moccasins. And so that was a really awesome story. And then the program you guys built, which is this really worldwide, but you specifically have a lot of stuff domestically. And I think the cool thing that you do is your trips aren't just one price, right? You guys cover everything from the DIY angler all the way up to, like you said, you're going to Mongolia. So today we're going to talk about one of these places. I mean, this really is your home water. I think Colorado, it's a hot place. Maybe it's the hottest state in the country for fly fishing, at least one of them. And then it has hunting. I think the big game hunting, whether that's elk or deer or, like anything, like it has that too. So we're going to talk a little about hunting, talk Colorado. But first off, give us a little update on, maybe your program. This is going to be going live probably in the, early summer period. Well, what's that look like for you guys? If somebody's coming in right now and they're saying, John, man, I want to go fishing. It's June, that range. What are you telling them?
So June is kind of the end of our runoff season. So usually May is pretty bonkers and you got to be on still water, right? So we have a lot of snow in Colorado. April is considered mud season. The snow melts. It rolls down the mountains. It rolls into the rivers. So rivers, our runoff season in May is usually pretty large. So your float fishing is kind of blown out. The flows are just too fast. So walking, wading, and high alpine, still water, ponds, rivers, all that kind of stuff are still there. In June, I mean, it's a great time of year just because there's so much available. I mean, we have, pretty much everything from Rocky Mountain National Park in Estes up by Fort Collins. Then you go over towards like the Yampa and you have Steamboat. Mm-hmm. So during your runoff season, your true freestones, to get technical nomenclatures going. So the Yampa, the Eagle, and some true freestones, that's the time of year to be on them, is when runoff season comes through and when the flows are correct. Then you also get into stuff all the way over in like Durango with the Animus. You can even go down and like dip into like that northern New Mexico at the San Juan, which is another tailwater. But you got the Taylor, any of those things. And we have, everything from, like you said, DIY walk and wade days, guided float fishing. If you want to even do like, another step up, we do have a plethora of private water that we have available from like Boxwood Gulch, Long Meadow Gulch, Bartle Lakes, Troublesome Creek, Hidden Valley Ranch, Able Ranch. I mean, there's just a
Yeah,
ton of
there's a
stuff.
ton.
Yeah, and I mean everything from June, July, and August is the summer. So if you're not in Colorado, that's usually the time that people are coming to Colorado. And that's when Hook and Hunt, our lodge over by Glenwood Springs, stays packed during the summer. So you could do the Roaring Fork, the Frying Pan, the Lower Colorado. You could also do Harvey Gap, Rifle Gap. You could go up and do the Flat Tops. You could do Grand Mesas over by Grand Junction. You could do the White River. And that's when all of it kind of is ready to go. For the people that live here in Colorado, a lot of us talk about August and September obviously being great because there's not as much summer traffic. If you're looking for big browns, I would tell you want that September-ish time. The browns come out and get real feisty before the spawns go on, so that always happens. And we're staying off of reds and staying off of all the spawns, but prior to and after, they get active because they're bulking up, and then they have to feed and bulk up again afterwards. So, I mean, I think in June, July, and August, if you're looking for something, I always recommend people just to try float fishing. If wherever you live, if you fish the majority of your year in waders and boots standing in water, it's a big change to be on a boat moving while you're casting. It's also just way more water that you get to cover. I know there are anglers out there that are covering, 2 to 3 miles in their waders walking around all the time, but a half day in a boat here in Colorado, you're probably going to cover 6 miles of water. A full day, you could do anywhere from 8 to 12. I mean, it gets you a lot of water. Plus, there's two people. You're in a boat. You're pretty much whitewater rafting through wherever you're going to be. So the scenery is amazing. The fishing is amazing. What you learn from a guide is also probably going to be a great thing to take back home wherever you're at. So, I mean, those are easy things. Also, for us here, it's a lot of time to get into the high alpine. I don't mean you need to get up to 12,000 feet, but if you can get up to 9,000 feet and fish some cutthroat ponds, or you can fish some brookie ponds, those are other things that you get a hike, you get an easy workout, you get out in nature. You're most likely fishing some new waters, probably some fun stuff with terrestrials and foam. You could probably throw streamers as well for any of those diehard meat chuckers that are out there. So I mean, I think though that opens up everything you can do. But I mean, for us in Colorado, being our home state and being a place that we spend a ton of time, we start float fishing in April before
Oh, you do?
runoff. Yeah.
Okay, so you start, and what is the float fishing river? What would be one that you guys are covering? That, and is this one where you would do your multi-day trips as well?
Yeah, so I mean, my personal favorite is the Lower Colorado, and there's some easy facts. One, it's got the most fish per length of whatever you do, whether you do 100 yards or a mile or a half mile, whatever. So from Glenwood Springs down to Rifle is probably the richest part of the Lower Colorado. The Upper Colorado has a lot of traffic and does have fish in it. It's just a different experience. For us, for when we do our trips, we do 3 nights lodging, 2 days float fishing on the Lower Colorado, and you stay in a place called Silt, which is right outside of Glenwood Springs. So that would be an easy one. We have people already staying there and fishing in April. Then usually in May, it's a little downtime, but people are fishing still water as opposed to the river. And then you get back into June all the way to October, people will be float fishing that. If you want a different one, the Arkansas is real good, and that one runs north to south pretty much, from Buena Vista down into Salida. And if you know where Copper Mountain is, where people ski, if you go south of Copper Mountain, that's kind of where the Arkansas headwaters start, and it rolls all the way down. And you can get into the Eagle. The Frying Pan, you can't float, but you can walk and wade. The Roaring Fork, you can float. It gets a little bit more blown out. The Independence Pass water system comes through the Roaring Fork. So in May, it gets pretty blown, and that empties into the Lower Colorado. But for the best float fishing, a lot of people love saying the Arkansas. I personally love the Lower Colorado.
Yeah, that's the Glenwood Springs to what was the
Rifle? Yeah,
Rifle?
to Rifle.
Yeah, gotcha.
And I mean that's you'll see a lot of rafting activity that isn't all fishing. Like there's a lot of just rafting, whitewater rafting. Glenwood Canyon is pretty infamous for some of their hellaciously dangerous rapids and stuff that goes on. So you don't really fish in Glenwood Canyon, but right when you get to Glenwood Springs, the town, that's where it all starts. And if you guys are out there looking for technical boat ramps, you'd be at like Two Rivers boat ramp to Rifle boat ramp, and anywhere in between. And I want to say off the top of my head, that's like 26 miles of water.
Oh, it's good float.
But
Yeah.
there's multiple places. I personally love South Canyon to Silt is great. You can get out right there where our place is, and off the boat ramp in 3 minutes, you're back at the house in the backyard hanging out. You can do Silt to Rifle. That's usually a lot of bigger fish, but less numbers of fish. All of that is great. And then also, like, if you're trying to do a multiple day or so, you can float the Colorado River one day. You can go walk and wade the Frying Pan the next day and be in the, infamous scenery of the Frying Pan River and all the crazy fish that are 20 years old and have names that never get caught and all the crazy that happens there.
Yep.
And that's more on the western slope and a little bit further away from Denver. If you're trying to be, on closer to the Front Range, you can do any of the Cheeseman and Decker stuff is still bumping and rocking all year round. Then you have the Arkansas. You could do the Eagle, which is kind of like Vail all the way down to, I think it's 10, not to like Gypsum.
Okay. What is the Front Range for those new to the Colorado scene? What is Glenwood Springs?
Yeah. Good question.
Yeah.
My apologies on all the. So when you're in Denver, you're in the Front Range or the eastern side of the Rockies. So everything from like Boulder and Red Rocks, the concert venue, all the way into Colorado Springs, we're all considered on the Front Range of the Rockies or the eastern slope of the Rockies.
Yeah, okay.
Then you get into the Rocky Mountains proper, which would be Breckenridge, Vail, Keystone, Copper, all of those ski resorts that are actually in the middle of the mountains. That's called the Rockies. So the Blue River, Dillon Reservoir, the Eagle, but yeah, anything from like Eisenhower Tunnel to Glenwood Canyon.
Okay. So Glenwood Canyon, you get out, now you're out of the mountains and into the west?
As soon as you get to the west side of Glenwood Canyon and you're in Glenwood Springs, then you're in the west slope.
Oh, the west slope. Gotcha.
And if you think about it, when we're in the Front Range and in Denver, you're driving uphill. And then in the mountains, you're kind of like up above. Then as soon as you get Glenwood Springs, you start driving downhill again. So the two slopes are the up and down parts of it. So in Colorado, the western slope reveres themselves as the best slope, and the east Front Range slope reveres themselves as the best slope. And then there's also the mountain folk, which live in the mountains and will tell you that
that's the best.
Neither one of the slopes is where you want to be. But yeah, like, so if you want to stay towards the Denver side and the Front Range side, you have Pueblo, Colorado Springs, Denver, Boulder, Fort Collins. All the main metropolitan areas are on the Front Range.
Where it's sunny, where you don't get as much precipitation, right?
Correct. And then when you get into the mountains, you're in the actual mountains all the way down, which is like, Pagosa Springs to Buena Vista, Salida, Copper, Frisco, Silverthorne. And that goes all the way up, which most of the northern part of all of those Rocky Mountains is Rocky Mountain National Park.
Yeah.
And they have a ton of water that you can fish. And then you hit the western slope, which would be Glenwood Springs. I guess technically not Aspen and Telluride and all of them because those are in mountains. But that Glenwood Springs to Grand Junction area is all.
That's the big part.
Yeah.
And that's where this run we're talking about. So who is that on that? Who are the guides? Like, how does that work on this Colorado Springs float trip?
We work with a great group of guys out of Grand Junction area, which is Colorado Western Slope. But that's who we use at our lodge as our in-house lodge. There are probably 30 different outfits of guides, and most of them will do boat and walk and wade. If you're talking about the Frying Pan and the Roaring Fork, you can walk and wade the Frying Pan only. You can walk and float the Roaring Fork, and you can pretty much only float the Colorado just because it's so big. There are people that like to fish from the banks, but it's a large body of water, and the best way to cover all the good spots is mostly in a boat because a lot of the banks are all privately owned.
Oh, so you're casting over toward, that's the thing with Colorado, right? So you're not anchoring up. You're just drifting as you go.
So if they own both sides of the river, which on the Roaring Fork happens often, you can't anchor. So an easy way to think about it, in Colorado, the water is public. The riverbed and the earth underneath of it is still considered owned by the landowner. When you get to Wyoming and Montana and other states, the high water mark on the bank is where their property line ends, and all of the water and the riverbed is public. So here in Colorado, you can anchor on a non-public or a non-private side of the water because the middle of the riverbed is kind of where that line ends. Now, if both sides of the river are privately owned, you can't anchor up there.
You can't anchor up. And is it the trout routes and the apps like that? Or are those the places like, how are you figuring out where's private, where's public, or you just kind of know that?
I mean, for us, most of it's just the years of being there and knowing.
Yeah.
A lot of landowners will let you know by sign. Unfortunately, some landowners will come down and let you know in person, which is always an awkward kind
I'll
of like,
bet. Yeah.
it's 7 o'clock in the morning and they're having their coffee at their fence post, letting them know that you can't fish there. And as long as you're not anchored up or touching a bank, you can fish there as long as you want. So I mean, it's an interesting thing. Like the Roaring Fork has a bunch of both sides being private. The biggest one that gets talked about is the Blue. The Blue River, it was in a big controversy and a bunch of other stuff where it's about to be considered all private because the owner has lobbied to do that. And so there's about probably 15 miles where you can't anchor or touch a side in the Blue whatsoever.
Yeah.
But in the Colorado, there's public boat ramps. There is pseudo privately owned land, but there's not too much of it. The good and bad thing is that I-70 highway runs next to the lower Colorado for a little bit. And wherever the highway's next to it, it's public.
Oh, it is.
Oh, yeah. So we can get in and out of a bunch of stuff that way. Now, if you come down the Roaring Fork and dump into the lower Colorado and then float the lower Colorado down and through, I mean, you can do long days with a bunch of awesome water. And I think those are all, depending on what people want to get into and what they want to have for their day of fishing. But that lower Colorado is my personal favorite.
That's the easy one.
Yeah, the Arkansas is another one that a lot of people float. It's not as big. It does have some traffic on it, but a lot of that is public land also. So you get to stop and fish. You also go right through like downtown Salida, which is a big rafting community. And there's a water park in there where they have some rapids set up and all kinds of other stuff going on.
Yeah. It's not just fly fishing.
Yeah, when you float fish, you get to be a part of other stuff other than just fishing a ripple on foot. You get to see a lot of stuff. You get to see other people. You interact with other people in the water. So those are things I would tell people for multiple day trips. Like do a day float fishing, see how you like it. Then also do a day doing, what you normally do or whatever. And then you could do a different day where you go to a reservoir or high alpine lake and try to get on some fish that you haven't caught before. Like in the Grand Mesa out by Grand Junction, there's tigers. If you go to certain places, there's goldens. I mean, there's all kinds of species to go find.
There's a bunch. So another part of this is the kind of the hunt part, right? So you guys have this dialed in for fishing in all these locations. We've talked about just a couple here. What does that look like with the fish and hunt? Is this something where you can get on one trip, do both of these things, or maybe talk about your hunt program a little bit?
Yeah, so we have a property in Still, Colorado that's located in Zone 32. So again, another lead up story. Here in Colorado, there's a lottery system where you have to have entered into the lottery, then you get points when you don't win. And when we say don't win, like most people go 6 to 10 years without ever winning a tag.
And this is for like big game?
Yeah, so this would be for elk, and I would also say it's in the most desirable zones. There are some zones that don't have elk that people can get tags easily, but you're most likely not going to see an elk there. You want to be in that mountain region to try to find elk. So we have ram, we have elk, we have deer, we have bear. Obviously, we don't have wolf.
No. What about bighorn sheep?
The rams and the sheep are in there, but those are hard tags to get as well. So every year when the tags come out, a certain amount of people get certain tags, and that's only a limited amount of tags per zone. So our property is in Zone 32, and it borders 31, 33, and 42. So we spend a lot of time with those four zones. The guides are out there scouting, trying to find stuff. We have hunters that'll come in and stay at our place, and then they're out every morning going to try to find stuff and then come back late at night. But we do have bow, we have rifle, we everything that's in between with the hunting seasons. But for our hunting program, we have 4 different guides that we work with. And what usually happens is that as soon as the tags come out, the 7 people that get tags in those 4 zones reach out to certain outfitters to see what's going on. Now, if you want to hunt a trophy elk that's on private land with high fence, none of that applies to what we're talking about. True over the counter lottery tag.
Oh, right. So there are places you can go and literally like hunt animals that are like kind of caged in
Yeah, I
or
mean,
fenced in, or like
yeah,
is that the
fenced
same?
in. Yeah, fenced in. Like you can go to certain places out here that may have 10,000 acres and they have animals within those 10,000 acres and they help you find them. And I will put it this way. What we're talking about for our hunting program is more like you going to public lands and trying to catch a trout on your own, which is different than going to private property and catching trout,
Yeah, a
out.
private pond, going to a private pond where there's yeah,
And
whatever.
I mean, I know both sides of the story and I'm involved in both industries and I understand it all. For our place in the zones that we're in, usually as soon as the tags are drawn within the next 10 days, there's only a certain amount of people that get tags in those zones. So those people either reach out to the outfitters and the guides or they reach out to us and then they're booking our place to stay. When they do that, then they're able to get in and out all the time. Like this last year, we had guys with ATVs. The year before that, we had guys that had horses. The year before that, we had people that were on foot. So there's all types of different methods for Colorado hunting. The biggest thing is that we want to be able to have a place for you that you can rest, eat, get a hot shower, and get back out into the hunting world. As of right now, we have had a good success with our clients that stay at our property, that they're filling tags, which is a big thing that those hunters want to do when they get the tag. You're not trying to have a tag and then not fill it and then have to try to work with the state of Colorado to come back and try to fill it. So when you get the tag for this year, you get a certain amount of time to try to fill that tag. After that, it's all over. And our property's name is Hook and Hunt. So I mean, we cater to both fishing and hunting.
At the same time, are there people there both fishing and hunting?
So usually the end of October and Halloween, when it moves from fishing to hunting, there's not a lot of people trying to be outside in the cold fishing as much. We would take anglers year round, but October to February, we're mostly hunting. And then the whole rest of the year, it's mostly fishing.
Okay, yeah, yeah. So October, February, the time when eventually the fishing gets, there's lots of snow, right? You're not really doing a lot of fishing out
Right.
there. That's
But
okay.
as soon as like from Thanksgiving until the end of February, it's very frozen and cold. And I mean, same thing that we have another property called Rod and Rifle that does the same thing in New Mexico. But we have people that are fishing and hunting in the place in New Mexico at the same time because the San Juan River is flowing year round no matter what. So we may have a group of anglers in Monday to Wednesday, and then from Thursday to Sunday, we have a group of anglers that are in there trying to get after it. And that place is done very well with hunters filling tags. But in Colorado, it's it's a very small amount of people that get tags in those zones that we can help facilitate. Now, if you want to do like a over the counter cow tag for an elk, you can do that, and then you got to go out and find a cow wherever you can in those zones. Those are different tags, but I mean we've had we have bird hunters, waterfowl, we have elk, deer, turkey. I would say for us, the biggest conversations that we have are about elk because they are really high in elevation that time of year. When it gets cold and everything gets covered up that they can eat down low, they're going up high. So, I mean, you got guys that are spending most of their day above 10,000
Oh
feet.
wow! And why are they going up high? Why do they go up higher when it gets snowier and colder down low?
Just so they can find stuff to eat. When the ground scores and the food is covered up with snow low, they go up high, and that's where they know that they can find some stuff that may be edible. And I mean, it's not that they won't come back down. I mean, they cross valleys and do other stuff. But if you're trying to get up high enough to glass and see everything that you need to see in a day, and you're out there, we have people that'll come, stay at our place for a week, but maybe 3 of the nights they're at a camp in the mountains, and then they come back, change out clothes, get a hot shower, make up some more food, and then go back out to the camp. So the hunting in Colorado is rugged and cold. And it's also just hard. Like there's a lot of places that are hard. It's easier to get a tag in New Mexico than it is in Colorado. It's real hard to get a tag in Colorado and Wyoming and Montana because there's just so many people putting in for tags.
Yeah, especially for elk and the big
Yeah.
prize species.
Now, if you want to do real big stuff, for grizzly bear and black bear and wolf and moose, we have an outfitter in Alaska that we deal with a lot, and most of the guys that spend a lot of time at Hook and Hunt here in Colorado eventually try to get up with the guys in Alaska to go after something next.
Oh, okay. And what part of Alaska is that?
So our outfitter's based around Lake Iliamna. So you fly into Anchorage, and then you got an hour flight out to Iliamna to stay there, and then you're out with them until it happens. The big ones for them are grizzly and moose. Those are the big attractions, but brown bear, ram, and sheep and wolf are the other ones that they have.
Right. Gosh. So there you go. So that's a little on your hunting operation. Well, taking it back to, again, sticking in Colorado, and you guys, we mentioned at the start, and we have the first episode we did where we talked more broadly about all your places. But if we stick in Colorado, take us again around Colorado. You mentioned a little bit the front line, the east. Where else? You got the place in Glenwood Springs, the Colorado. You mentioned the Arkansas. What other operations or places would you recommend, or hot spots for you guys?
So Steamboat Springs and the Yampa River are always a hot conversation. It's the Yampa is a fun one. It is a freestone. It's kind of hit or miss depending on the time of the year. So you got to get there when it's going right. So that would be, what is that, northwest-ish. Then you got Rocky Mountain National Park, which has an abundance of stuff. You can do DIY fishing there. We have guides that can work within the national park with you as well. So that's where you can find a lot of the
smaller species and higher stuff.
Yeah, smaller species, but cutthroats and San Juan cutthroats and different fish that are up in the national park that is, able to you fished and caught fish, fly fishing in Rocky Mountain National Park is cool. Then you get into Fort Collins, which would be northeast. And there's a bunch of stuff in Fort Collins from, Horsetooth Reservoir into the Poudre River. Then you come down into the Boulder, South Boulder Creek. You got Denver, the South Platte, Deckers, Cheeseman, Colorado Springs, and Pueblo has the Arkansas and Pueblo Reservoir. Once you get into the mountains, then you're all over the place with the Eagle and the Blue, Green Mountain Reservoir.
Wow! And you guys are covering all these places you're mentioning. You have guides and operations and
yes, so we have pretty much the entire state. Well, I guess no, we have Durango and the Animas and Pagosa Springs and the San Juan. We have all that covered as well. And then the Colorado River runs, all the way from the upper Colorado coming out of Rocky National Park, all the way through Glenwood Springs, then out into Grand Junction and down. So I mean, yeah, the whole state in some realm or another. I think Gore Creek in downtown Vail is public.
So Vail, so they're even in Vail in the middle of the Rocky Mountains. There's the town.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I mean, the Gore Creek runs right, like when you're in Vail, walking through downtown Vail from like one part to the other. Gore Creek runs right through the middle, and it's public, so you can fly fish on your own in there. And I think one of our guide services works on that one. So you have the Eagle that comes out by Minturn. The Gore runs into the Eagle. The Eagle then runs into the Colorado. The Frying Pan runs into the Roaring Fork. The Roaring Fork runs into the Colorado.
What about the north, east and southeast part of the state where you're getting towards Kansas, Nebraska, which is the places you don't hear a lot about fishing? Is there?
Yeah. So there's not a lot of water out by, I think it's Sedgwick and Hope, and so yeah, when you get out towards Nebraska, the after Fort Collins, the next part would actually be going into Nebraska to go fish some of those lakes that are there. And there's a big walleye lake that a lot of people like to try to do in Nebraska. And then in the southeast, once you get past Pueblo and the Arkansas, there's not a lot out there that's available fish wise. Now, I think there probably, are ponds and some things around that you may be able to get to.
Yeah.
We don't know or have access to those, but that's the other part of, what we're talking about is river and creek systems, but there's a huge aspect of high alpine lake and high reservoirs and stuff like that, that some, reservoirs may have a function into a tailwater. Like if you're at Rudeye Reservoir, you're fishing the water that goes into the Frying Pan.
Yeah.
But like Rudeye and Rifle and Harvey Gap and Grand Mesa lakes, I mean, there's 30 something lakes above Grand Junction in the Grand Mesa system that, they have tigers and brookies and browns and rainbows and all kinds of stuff. And our guides don't work those. But we have a lot of clients that DIY fish all of those zones. And I mean, that's the allure to Colorado, I think, with fly fishing in general, is that not only are there river and streams that are world famous, like Deckers and Cheeseman and the Frying Pan and Gold Medal, Blue, whatever. we also have an abundance of other water that is just, I mean, right off the top of Vail Pass, you can do the Black Lakes, which is like two different lakes at the pull off at the summit of Vail Pass. And those have trout in them if you want to go catch something there while you're just driving on I-70.
Yeah, gotcha. No, it sounds like so there's, I mean, a ton of opportunity in Denver. And then as you move down into New Mexico, is that, the San Juan, is that more focused on a certain river system, or what does that look like down there?
So the San Juan starts up in the San Juan Mountains, comes out of Colorado and goes down into New Mexico. And the reservoir is called Navajo Reservoir, which is the biggest reservoir in New Mexico. Houseboats, party coves, bass fishermen, powerboats, whatever are on Navajo Reservoir. And that reservoir, the dam, flows and starts what's called the San Juan River underneath. So if you're talking about the quality waters and the barbless only hooks, the braids and the San Juan and all that stuff are directly below the dam of the Navajo Reservoir. And the Pecos and some other stuff. There's one, the Pecos is the one that's down closer to Albuquerque. The Pinos, the Chama. There's some stuff by Santa Fe and Taos as well.
Yeah, Taos, right.
Our lodge that's down there is right off of the San Juan River. And it's in a bunch of specific hunting zones as well. We have a lot of people that will fish all over Colorado, but then every now and then they'll go down to New Mexico. At the San Juan, you just have a chance at that infamous 30-inch fish that we talked about last time, about 26 or 28-inch trout.
Yeah.
There's big browns, big rainbows, there's carp, bunch of stuff in the San Juan where it's, I mean, there are guides there in a day doing 100 fish in a net day.
So this is the tailwater. So this is out of the Navajo Dam, the most popular, or that place is the tailwater, that section. How many miles down? Then it goes into like Farmington. How many miles of river?
Yes, your top like half of a mile is called the Braids, and it's walk and wade only. Then from Texas Hole to Crusher Hole is 3 miles, which is considered the part of the quality waters. That's fly fish only. Once you hit Crusher Hole all the way down, you can then, as they would call like bait fish or spin fish. And I have done the Braids, I've done the quality waters a ton. I've fished all of the bait, the lower waters as well. I think from Texas Hole all the way down to Bloomfield, which is the closest town city, is like 16 miles or something.
16, yeah.
And there are some real lovely big browns that aren't in the quality water and in the fly fishing only water. But the water itself coming out of the dam runs 24/7, 365. It's always 43 degrees.
Oh, wow.
So it fishes year round. It never freezes. The only thing that changes a lot is the flow and what's going on around the river, right? So like you have the ant hatch at some point throughout the year when the ants come out and the first rain comes and it rains all these ants into the river.
Yeah.
You got a lot of other things where, hoppers may work, streamers may work, dry flies almost work year round in certain places. But when you get past Crusher Hole and you get out of the fly fishing only water, there's not a ton of guys that are running their boats and float fishing and stuff in there. There's millions of people that go there a year to fish.
Can you float fish there? Float out of a boat?
Yeah, so you can go pretty much from Texas Hole all the way to Bloomfield. You can float. You may have to put it around some stuff here or there. But the lower part, the non-quality water lower part, is what I kind of have decided this year will be my focus from our lodge that's there, because I can put in right at the town boat ramp by where old school Abe's used to be, and then float down and check out all kinds of new water that still has a bunch of fish in it. And I mean, the line at the San Juan is every day you're going to hold a 20-inch fish.
Really? It's that good?
Yeah, I mean, there's just too many fish to speak of.
Wow. And where is your lodge located?
So our place is 3 acres right in Blanco. So we're like San Juan, what is it called? Navajo Village Dam is a community, which is where Abe's and the post office and everything is. We're 5 minutes downriver from where they're at. So I mean, we're 12 minutes from Texas Hole by car.
Okay, 12. Yeah, so Blanco. And then what would be a trip? So you guys are putting together like do you have a time of year that you're setting this up, or what would be a good if you had a few days?
Usually we do one in May. Like we talked about in Colorado, it's runoff time. So like a lot of the rivers are kind of blown up here. So we usually do a 3-night, 2-day float fishing in May. And then in September, we do another 3-night, 2-day float fishing because the weather's still pretty. In September here in Colorado, it may be getting chillier, but down there in New Mexico, it's still pretty warm. Plus, again, it's big brown season. So we kind of focus around that. The angler that loves big browns is a truly demented person, because they're
Yeah.
just, they want big browns for some reason. Big rainbows are cool, big cutthroats are awesome, big brooks are fantastic, but there's a whole group of people out there that just really like catching big brown fish. So
Right. Which are not easy always to catch, right? The big
no,
ones.
it's not. So yeah, so we usually do a May trip down there that's hosted with one of our people, and then we also do a September one down there, and we do a September one in Colorado also. Usually it's like the second week in September we're up here in Colorado, and the third week in September we're down in New Mexico. But those lodges are open year round. So, if you need a place to stay or want to get out there and fish on your own, we have dates and rooms available. You can go do that.
Oh, you do. So this is a lodge. You
Yeah.
guys, yeah, do this year round.
Yeah. So we own the place in Silk, Colorado, and we own the place in Blanco, New Mexico. So, I mean, it's year round facilitating it. Our own Moccasin hosted trips are those May and September,
Yeah,
but
I see.
you can go there and fish on your own. You can go there and stay there and hire a guide if you want to.
Gotcha. So this is a cool. So if they could check in with you if somebody's listening now and they're like, man, I'm going to be down there in August.
Yeah,
They
we
can just
got
call
you.
you up. And what does that look like? Is the place like? Could you get you book the whole place? Is it a house or what is the lot? What does it look like?
Yeah, so the New Mexico place has 7 beds, sleeps 8 to 10 people, and that's 160 a night. And then the place up here in Colorado is 6 beds, sleeps 7 to 9 people, and is 180 a night. And when you do rent it, you get the whole place. We initially started with doing different rooms, but with cleaning and etc., it's easier just to have it all to yourself.
Oh wow, so that's awesome. So you can just rent basically, and this is this like on your own, not through VRBO and all that stuff, or is it?
I mean, a lot of people rent it through Airbnb just because it handles everything. We have some people that reach out to us directly, and we can figure that out too. It doesn't really bother us how you decide you want to do it. We are there for it. And I will say, for any groups that are listening, like if you're a veterans group or you're a women's group or you're whatever type of charity or group or something, we're always open to having people come. We had the Healing Road down in New Mexico about a month ago. We have Healing Waters that uses the one in Colorado. Like, if you have something that's going on, we're more than open to figure out how to get there. You get a full kitchen, the whole place to yourself. They're both 3 bedrooms with 2 or 3 baths. You get the whole front yard, backyard. There's a fire pit at the one in New Mexico.
That's sweet.
But yeah, I mean, it's a whole kind of like central hub to have your group there for the fishing trip, and that's fishing or hunting. Either one that you got to do, we're open to any of it.
Yeah, so hunting and same thing down there. You got the same the hunting opportunities down there.
Yep.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, so if you wanted, you could look into that, or if you wanted to get more of the all inclusive. Now, do you do the all inclusive down there for this trip? Do you cover food and stuff like that?
I mean, we can. We call it more of like grocery list stuff. Like, you have to hire the guides to do the grocery list part, just because the guides are the people on site that'll be going to get everything. But in Colorado or New Mexico, if you want to do a grocery list and have, a case of beer and some food in the fridge when you show up, if you hire the guides, then we have an extra cost, and they'll go pick everything up and have it there before you show up.
Mm.
They have the codes to be able to get into the places and set everything. And we do the same thing, grocery list thing like that for our New Orleans trips. Like,
Okay, same thing.
Our guys, yeah. So we'll do. There's a certain. Well, you got to do you got to pay for all the groceries, obviously, and then there's a fee on top. And then we have somebody go pick it all up, drop it all off, put it in the fridge. When you check in at 3 or 4 o'clock or whatever, everything's already there waiting for you.
Gotcha. That's
We
cool.
do that for the Colorado house. We do that for the New Mexico lodge, and we do that for our New Orleans trips.
Okay, so yeah, it's kind of like a hybrid a little bit. It's not fully all inclusive, although it's pretty much everything except for cooking the food for you, right? It sounds like.
Yeah, and then the other thing that can happen too, like on our New Orleans trips, we'll stop at a grocery store and let everybody get their own thing if you don't want to have it there ahead of time. In Colorado and New Mexico, the majority of people that are flying in, they're going to stop and get what they want on the way in. Or, if you're already on the road driving around, you probably have a ton of stuff. So you do have, and there's washers and dryers and everything too. So people are doing laundry, getting ready, and stopping over and fishing in between their next spot or whatever. But yeah, all of that's part of it for sure.
Wow, this is great. Okay. Well, I mean, I guess we've been kind of zooming around Colorado and New Mexico. Any other highlights? We kind of went through the rundown on Colorado. So in the New Mexico, is this your main area? Is it this section that you guys are fishing for?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I probably do about 20 or 25 days down there. One, just being on site to check on the property, do any work that needs to happen, fish. I love doing evening floats in Texas holes, so I'll just put the boat in at Texas hole and fish for a couple hours till sundown, and then take the boat out at Texas hole and go back home.
Yeah.
I love walking the braids. I mean, you can get into some gigantic fish up in the braids above where the floating section starts. But yeah, the San Juan River is the main part. The only other thing in that area that's worth it is during the summer, there's a lot of high alpine, stuff in the La Plata Mountains, stuff in the San Juan Mountains, stuff in the Rocky Mountains. If you want to do like a 3-hour drive and get up high in elevation, you can get into some unbelievable stuff in that zone too.
What's that May trip look like for the San Juan? What are you guys fishing? Is this something where you're getting dry fly, or is it a little mix?
So at the San Juan, there's a thing called the San Juan Slam, which is a streamer, a nymph, and a dry fly. You got to catch a fish on each in one day.
Oh yeah.
So we usually put that challenge up to everybody that comes in May and September that, if you hit the San Juan Slam on this trip, we have like a little sticker that the guides give out that says San Juan Slam. But almost year round, I still think it's possible that you can do streamer, dry, and nymph all on the same day out of the same boat to get the San Juan Slam. I personally love the streamers, and I love the top water eats, so I love the dry flies. Sometimes that you just gotta be subsurface with an indicator, and that's just how it goes for that day.
Yeah, when something's going on, something's changing. They're not on the dries. Streamers is unique, right? Because that's not easy to do either. I mean, right?
No. And especially not in such a technical place.
Yeah.
Like, you can only have one barbless hook per fly per the laws in New Mexico for that area. So you're already not, you can't throw articulated anything. You got to throw a single hook. Then there's certain times of day that I think the streamers are what they would say is the best.
Yeah. When is that? When are you pulling out streamers during the day?
I mean, I think, you technically you can't be in there after dark, but I would imagine a streamer after dark would probably go bonkers.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, because those browns they're out there hunting. Yep.
Yeah. So that end of the day Texas hole float around that I do when I'm done with working on the property. I'm usually hucking meat as far as I can on that one later at night, right before sundown. And then I think, you'll find earlier in the morning is probably better, much like anything. But I mean, the biggest fishes I've ever caught down there have eaten the smallest bugs possible. I mean, there's throwing size 22, 24, stuff like that.
That works.
Very technical, wild place. So
yeah, gotcha. Wow. And is it in May? I'm guessing, is it not quite as busy as it will be in the summer? Or does that river always get some pressure?
Yeah. So same thing as we talked about before, like trying to stay out of the June, July, August when it's like top season. So we like to do May, September, just because it gives us a little bit of like what we would call the shoulder seasons. I love June, July, and August. It's just we're trying to have
experience
all the lodges as available as possible, all the guides as available as possible. So for us to do a trip in the middle of July is not the same as people just coming through. So yeah, the May trip, it's not, I mean, in New Mexico at that point, it's full-fledged spring. It's going to be warmer and nice. Probably won't have too much wind. We're getting some great fishing, and it's not the summer. And then in September, it's just the fact that it's after the summer bustle, and it's also big brown time.
And big brown. Is that when you guys start? Is it kind of September? That's when you really start getting back on the browns?
I think so. I mean, you'll get into browns year round, but everybody will notice that, before the browns spawn in the fall, browns start to eat a lot more because they need to bulk up for the spawn. And then after the spawn, it gets a little colder, but they need to replenish after spawning for however long. So like before the spawn, brown trout get real pissy.
Yeah.
So they snap at a lot of stuff. They maybe eat some stuff that they maybe wouldn't have eaten. Sometimes they're looking for a bigger meal, maybe. So streamers will work. But those aggressive browns are out there and after it before they're going to go spawn. And that's a great time to try to get one of them on the line.
Yeah, perfect. Very well. In the last episode, we talked a little bit about the DIY and kind of chatting about some tips there. And you mentioned that it's a good thing to do your work, right? If you're coming down to do this trip, let's just think somebody's thinking San Juan, they're going to either maybe do that hosted trip with you or just grab, the thing. But they want to get information. Today's Friday, so we're going to do a Fly Shop Friday today. But do you have a shop down in that area that you would recommend they could check in with, or you could talk Colorado as well?
Yeah, two of them. So, I mean, our place is called Rod and Rifle, but our in-house guides are About Trout.
Oh, About Trout. Yeah.
Yeah, James at About Trout is probably one of the top 3 fishiest human beings I talk to on a regular basis. I mean, that not only is their YouTube going crazy, but they are finger on the pulse on what's happening at the San Juan. So abouttrout.com would be the one to check out. As far as a fly shop, Tom at Los Pinos out of Albuquerque is, remarkable at what's going on at the San Juan and other places.
Mm-hmm.
He's got guys that were on the U.S. gold medal team that are working with him and doing different stuff with Norm and the boys that are at the Los Pinos Fly Shop. So specifically for the San Juan, About Trout and Los Pinos would be the 2 hands down. They also are, great friends of mine, and all 3 of us handle the river cleanup every March. So usually March 1st every year, we do a big San Juan River cleanup, which is About Trout, Los Pinos, and Moccasin are the 3 parts of it. So, if you call up Los Pinos, tell them Hunt at Moccasin says hi. If you call up About Trout, tell James that Hunt and Moccasin said that he catches bigger fish than he does, or something like that.
Yeah. Right.
But yeah, those guys are, heart and soul of what happens at the San Juan.
That's cool. Yeah, I think the San Juan, there's a number of, these rivers that are well known, and San Juan for sure sticks out. I think is it mainly because of what you're saying? It's this year-round tailwater where you can catch these giant potential browns, or why do you think that this river? Yeah.
I think there's a long history at the San Juan. New Mexico decided that this was going to be an outdoor revenue stream. So, there's millions of people a year that come to the San Juan just to fish. They stock and protect and take care of that stretch of river like no other. The Rangers are great people. They're always there. They're always looking out for what's going on. They're real friendly. So, I think that there's also a history of, like, your grandfather may have fished at the San Juan and caught big fish there. Your father probably had gone there and caught big fish there. For me, being a Coloradan, I had heard about it for years before I ever went down there. And then finally, I talked to James, I think, for like an hour or so on the phone. And he was like, look, man, like, come down and just see what it is in person. And ever since then, I've held 20-inch fish, 26-inch fish. I have caught a 9-pound, 30-inch brown down there that was ridiculous. I've gotten into those fish, and it's remarkable to take people there. And while you float in the river, you see hundreds of fish. And they're well taken care of. They're big. It's all barbless catch and release fly fishing only. So, it puts it into one of those fly fishing meccas. Like, the frying pan is real challenging, and you may get a big fish. The White River is a whole different type of fishery, but you could get a big brown. The San Juan is just that place that's in New Mexico where, you're standing in the middle of like a Roadrunner Wile E. Coyote cartoon.
Oh, right. Yeah, you're kind of in the desert a little bit. It feels like that.
Yeah, you're in that high mountain desert. You're fishing the big fish. You could have a 60 fish day, and out of those 60 fish, you could catch, 10 that are 20 inches or so. Or you could just have the craziest day and catch one big, gigantic fish. But, the San Juan used to be even bigger than it is now. Like in the 80s, it was a thriving fly fishing mecca because of how many fish and how big. And all the browns, I will say, I think there's so all the browns in there weren't native. They're now wild though. The rainbows don't reproduce, only the browns reproduce.
Oh, gotcha.
Like the 30-inch brown hen that I caught, that's a wild, self-made, reproduced.
Right. For years, progeny of wild progeny.
Yeah. The rainbows don't reproduce because that's how they worked out the whirling diseases and some of the issues with the rainbow trout. So they're restocking them. The rainbows are still super old. They're just now reproducing on their own. When those browns come out and spawn, the browns are making themselves and making their population bigger all on their own. You're not catching a native brown, but you are catching a wild brown that has survived down there. And I think there's something to be said for all of, depending on how deep you want to get into that. But Yeah, I mean, the San Juan has some crazy legends and crazy stuff going on. There's nothing else around it. It's still very rugged and raw.
Yeah.
And you get down there. I mean, the closest gas station to where we're at is probably 20 minutes. There's no grocery store. There's no fast food.
Oh yeah, yeah. Because you're in Blanco, there's nothing. You got to go to like what? Farmington is the first town.
Yeah, you can get to Bloomfield is a little closer, and they're small. I mean, it's got a Sonic and a gas station, whatever. And then if you go to Farmington, it's an actual city, kind of like
Yeah.
Durango. Farmington is probably 40 minutes. Bloomfield is like 30. But I mean, when you get there, the stars are out at night. You're in the middle of the sagebrush.
Oh, amazing.
You feel like you're in a John Wayne Western going out to fish. It's an awesome experience.
That's what's cool. Yeah, and then Albuquerque is down kind of in the middle of the state a little more, and that's where you'd be flying.
Yeah, so it's like 2.5 hours south. You'd be in Albuquerque.
That's cool. Well, I think this year, or well, maybe not this year, but maybe next year we'll be talking more because I think I'd love to. I've been talking about this for a while, so I think this might be the time that the San Juan is coming to fruition.
Yeah. As we say, Moccasin, when and where, man. You just tell me when and where, and we got you.
Yeah, you got it covered. Cool. Well, we started off this one today talking a little about the Colorado and hunting, and the hunt program you have there, the fishing, and we kind of moved south. But we didn't talk about everything else you have coming, so we're going to be following up with you on another one. But before we get out of here, John, do you want to anything we missed today just about Colorado and Jen? I know we didn't hit it on all, but any high level about this or San Juan you want?
No, I mean the easiest one is, come out to Colorado and see what it's like, on your own. If you're close to Colorado, it's easy to get here. If you're back east and you're looking at places to go, give us a call and we can figure it out. I mean, there's a lot of places back east that we could probably help you find, but it's always cool to be in the mountains and be in a boat, whether it's New Mexico, Wyoming, Colorado, wherever. As we talked about last time, right? Like, it's just come out and find new waters and experience some new stuff and become a better angler, and that's what we're here for.
Yeah, I think it's cool because, like we said, this operation, we really focus it today on the San Juan. But the cool thing is, like we said on the previous episode, is you've got all these options. You can do a hosted trip, or you can spend less, just get a night or two, right? And you got this place in Blanco there where you can just grab the place and just hang out.
For
you
sure.
know what I mean? For $1,000, I'm guessing you could probably have a pretty good trip on your own down there, right?
Oh, I mean, you can probably get for $600-700, you can get 3 nights, 4 nights in at the house and fish on your own. I think if you want the guides and the other stuff, then it's a little bit different. But yeah, I mean, there's ways to make it all work. But I think that I talk to a lot of people that are trying to figure out if they want to go travel. And I think I always try to change that. And it's when you want to go travel. Even if it's next year, let's start figuring something out and get you out to some new waters and let you see what's out there. And then, you can decide if you like it or not. You can always go back to the same place, or you can decide to go somewhere new. That's on you.
Yeah. And that's the cool thing about the connection with all the guides, because you're going to for sure learn something, even if you don't catch the trophy fish on that trip, right?
Yeah. I mean, any day you go out and fish on your own, you talk to other anglers, you may learn something. When you talk to a guide, you may have 10, 15 years of experience that you get to cover in a day. So there's a lot of things to learn in that one day on a boat.
Yeah. Amazing. Cool, John. Well, we'll send everybody out to moccasinflyclub.com if they have questions. They can check you out on Instagram as well. And this has been awesome, man. I love that we're going deeper down kind of the rabbit hole of what you guys have. And the more we get into it, the more you realize, like, this is a cool operation. You know what I mean? And it's just about giving people opportunities. So I appreciate your time today, and we'll look forward to that next one.
Awesome, man. Thanks a lot, Dave.
All right. If that doesn't get you fired up, I don't know what will. San Juan, Colorado. If you're interested in any of these trips, go to moccasinflyclub.com. Check in with John. Let him know you heard this podcast. Check in with me as well if you're interested in us putting together one of these trips. We're going to be bumping our way around the country and always want to hear from you if you've got some interest. Colorado, New Mexico, hunting, fishing, check in right now. All right. I want to get out of here pretty quick, but just want to let you know if you're interested in checking out Wet Fly Swing Pro, go to wetflyswing.com/pro, and this is the best chance to get some of our travel discounted details, and we can follow up with you there. All right, we're excited for the next one. I got to get out of here. I hope you're having a great evening, a great morning, or a great afternoon, and we look forward to hearing from you and seeing you on the next episode. Talk to you then.